Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one I'm going to be taking a look at a bunch of new cards that were revealed for the set Mask of Change, which will join Crimson Haze as part of our set Twilight Masquerade. Now, for those of you who read the title before clicking on the video, I hope that's everyone, but you will know that Palafin EX is a fantastic card. I know that many of you, because this video will be a bit late on the upload schedule, I know that many of you will have already seen this card, but I just wanted to throw my thoughts into the pan of cooking, I guess, and see if we can add anything. And yeah, just take a look at the new reveals, because for once, they've kind of revealed a ton of cards that just seem really cool and interesting and promising. Not in like the seriously Charizard broken way, basically, but still very, very promising. Like, I don't even think Palafin is like Charizard level broken, but I still think it's very decent to the point where it will see success, which I'm glad about, you know? And what is slightly annoying, and I will get this out of the way very quickly before we get on to reveals, I did have a Palafin video already recorded, and it was like 20 minutes long, and I just raved on about Palafin, how good it was. But I noticed a lot of errors and mistakes that I made in that video, and it kind of made no sense to release that one when there's this whole bunch of cards, including Palafin, that were revealed. So RIP that video, rest in peace. But yeah, getting on to the new stuff that was revealed, we have a new Rillaboom line. I know that some people are already a little bit disappointed at this because, you know, when was our last Chestnut? Bit sad, really, but hey ho, we got a new Rillaboom line. Now, this is a very playable line, actually. Not so much the Rillaboom, but the Thwackey at least. Has the ability Bang Bang Drum. Monkey hit drum, I guess. If your active Pokemon has the ability Festival Temperance, you may use this ability. Search your deck for a card and put it into your hand. Fantastic ability. Now, this is obviously only as good as the Pokemon that have the ability Festival Temperance, right? However, there is several basics that have this ability. So, in theory, if you wanted to, you could get those Pokemon in the active spot, and they all have retreat cost of 1, these basics, and we'll, of course, talk about them in this video. They all have a retreat cost of 1, they all have this ability. You could put an escape board on them, and this is just a suggestion. This is by no means like the best way of doing this. And you could put a skateboard on them and essentially use them as a pivot for free retreat, as well as just when your opponent kills something, you could promote one, and then set up 1 or 2 Thwackies on the bench and basically just search your deck for a bunch of cards every turn. Seems fantastic because this doesn't say that you can't use this ability, you know, you can't use more than one of these abilities during a turn. So it's safe to assume that we can do like multiple of these, which just seems really good, to be honest. Like, I think that's worth trying out at the very least. But yeah, this will be the core of a Diplin deck. Yes, a Diplin deck. We'll talk more about Diplin in a second. But yeah, a very cool Pokemon that I think we'll see use. We also have this Rillaboom, which unfortunately isn't super great, but for 2 Grass Energy, we'll get a 1-hit KO on a Charizard, which I thought was worth mentioning. So, you know, maybe towards the late game, you could like throw an XP share down on like a Thwackey and attach a Grass Energy, because Diplin does attack for Grass. So, you know, it is possible to actually KO Charizard with Rillaboom. And if you wanted to use like Gardenia or something, then it's possible. So Rillaboom isn't completely useless, but definitely a bit inferior to Thwackey. But we have a new Applin, very cute, and the new Diplin, very nice artwork. You'll notice that all these Pokemon with Festival Temperance have artwork that celebrates the festival, which I think is a really nice touch. So the ability, what does this ability, you know, actually do? Says if the stadium festival grounds is in play, this Pokemon may attack twice each turn. If the first attack knocks out your opponent's active Pokemon, you can essentially continue and attack the next Pokemon that they promote, which is really cool. Now, what does the attack do? For a single Grass Energy, do the wave, does 20 damage times the number of your bench Pokemon you have in play, which, I'm not going to lie, isn't super great. You're only doing 100 damage max, and that's assuming you can get 5 Pokemon on the bench. I mean, with Buddy Buddy Poffin, it shouldn't be that difficult. We also have the new Bug Catching set, which allows you to look at the top 7 cards of your deck and choose up to 2 in any combination of basic Grass Energy and Grass Pokemon, which will definitely help this deck out consistency-wise, because it means you can just run a lot of Diplins, maybe some Thwackies on the side, and then I guess the Dunsparce or Bibarel, like your engine of choice, maybe another attacker like Cramorant, you know, just something on the side there. So I definitely like the idea of a Diplin deck. Seems really fun. You know, it's quite nice, the idea of just being able to boss KO like a Charmander, and then, you know, being able to swing into a Charizard for a lot of damage afterwards. Seems quite nice. And there's also the potential to get some not donks strictly, but basically if your opponent doesn't get more than, say, 2 Charmanders out in play, they just have a Charmander in the active, Charmander on the bench, what you could do turn 2 is KO their Charmander and then KO the next one straight afterwards. So you can effectively take advantage of that, which is very cool. So I personally will be trying out Diplin a lot. I think this looks really, really fun. Very, very fun card. I'm not sure about online. I'll have a separate video talking about TSG Live problems another day. But basically, yeah, I think I'll definitely be trying this out IRL. Seems like a lot of fun. So yeah, Diplin is very, very cool. Then we have Goldeen with the ability Festival Temperance, which is, you're going to see this again later on, don't worry. So if you have this stadium out in play, I should probably say what the stadium does actually. It says, Pokemon in play with energy attached to them can't be affected by special conditions, which I will say has one negative aspect. It means that you can't use like Brute Bonnet with a booster capsule to add poison damage to this, which is a bit of a shame because your damage is a bit meh sometimes. So I think that sucks a bit, but either way, Festival Grounds, still a nice stadium to have around. So this Pokemon also may attack twice each turn, which is nice, but the attack does 10 damage for 2 colorless energy. You flip a coin if heads discard energy. Honestly, I think this is more like a meme rogue deck of sorts. I don't think this will be like super great, but it is a very pretty card, I must admit, so it would be nice to pick up one of these. But yeah, don't think Goldeen is super great, but it could be quite fun. Again, as a pivot with Thwacky, that might be better. And then the Seeking, which we don't need to talk about the Seeking, but again, very nice artwork. Then we get to the meat of the video, which I'm sure the reason why a lot of people might have clicked on this, is we have Finzian and Palafin. Now, this Palafin on its own doesn't look very scary, but it does have the ability 0 to Hero. It says, once your turn, when this Pokemon moves from the active spot to the bench, which is crucial, so you will have to, play a switch or something, or pay 1 energy to retreat cost, which is quite annoying, but it does mean you'll have to run like a lot of either escape boards or, Cleffers, beach courts, that kind of thing. You may search your deck for a Palafin EX and switch it with this Pokemon. And anything, and that includes damage counters, energy, attached cards, all that kind of stuff, remain on the new Pokemon. If you switch to Pokemon this way, you shuffle this card into your deck. So you actually get to keep this Stage 1 Palafin. You don't have to discard it, which I personally quite like. Should be quite easy to track down with the Dunsparce. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So what does Palafin EX do? Because, this is a pretty annoying effect, having to switch to the bench. Well, Palafin EX is, I want this to sink in for a second, 340 HP to Parazer. Right, okay, do you want me to keep going? Okay, we'll keep going. The ability Hero Spirit says, put this Pokemon into play only with the effect of Palafin's 0 to Hero ability. Like, we could see that coming, right? So the ability is annoying, but I guess if we ever get a way to turn off hand abilities, then you could evolve it straight up, which is quite funny. But yeah, the Hero Spirit is, of course, more of a detriment to this card, but what makes up for it is this absolutely bonkers attack. For a single Water Energy, Giga Impact does 250, but during your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack. So if you survive a hit, well, I think that's likely, you will have to play another switching card. Now, some people have already pointed out, you could play Double Turbo. You just slap a Double Turbo on this guy, retreat it into like a Cleffer or something, and then play another switch. So it is very easy to get around this effect. And 250 is a lot of damage to be doing for a single energy. Like, that is crackers. Like, we've just seen, was it Greninja? That did 170 for a single energy and tutored out any one card from the deck. That is an amazing card, right? Phenomenal card. And it's on a stage 2. This is a stage 1 that you can search out, assuming you can just evolve Palafin from Finzian and then, just switch it from the active to the bench. So, very easy to do. 250 is a crazy amount of damage. KOs basically anything in Future Box. KOs basically any relevant basic. Does KO some stage 1s, but it's mainly here for, to be modified to get KOs. Like, if you wanted to KO a Charizard, for example, you would need a Maximum Belt and a Kieran, but it is possible. Like, Kieran's the plus 30 damage supporter, so yeah, a very, very scary card. Also, if you want to deal with Arceus, just put a Choice Belt on it, and you want to kill Arceus, I guess. So yeah, a very, 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 very scary card. I'm very afraid of this guy. Should be quite the deck, but yeah, we'll see. We have a Swirlix, which is kind of like the same stat line to the Goldeen, 50 HP, retreat cost of 1. Has the same ability, Festival Temperance, can attack twice. And the attack isn't terrible, actually. 1 Psych Energy, place 2 damage counters. That's not terrible because, being able to place up to 40 damage effectively any way you want is quite annoying sometimes and could be quite nice. Could definitely set up some KOs in like a psychic spread box, like maybe with Alakazam or like Mismagius, I guess, Cofagrigus, that kind of thing. Maybe more like rogue tier, not like super competitive, but still, really cool. I should also mention you could also like, I think you can use TM Crisis Punch to do this. I think. I'm not sure. I have to check that out actually, but yeah, Crisis Punch it does like 280 if your opponent's on one price card or less, which is quite funny. But yeah, definitely some fun things you could do with the Swirlix. And it's also a very cute Pokemon, so that's nice. Then we have another Slurpuff. Sadly, this Slurpuff is like meme tier, really. Could play it with Zatu, but yeah, that's about it, really. Bit sad. Then we have a Dreepy. So this is going to be the first Dragon type. The first Dragon type Dragapult line we've actually had, which is interesting. So it says it has Favorite Tree on here. I wish it did. Sadly, it doesn't. 70 HP is still nice though, because it does mean we can use Buddy Buddy Palafin. Also doing 40 damage to energy is a bit higher than usual, so that's nice. Then we have this Dracolock, which is Dracoluca, which is cool, with the ability Telling Spirit. Once in your turn, you may look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put one of them into your hand, and put the other one on the bottom of your deck. Pidgeotto is back, and that's a bit scary because Pidgeotto was a very, very good control deck back in the day. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be the new busted control deck, but it does have to be, something to consider because this, this could be quite scary. For those of you who didn't play in like the late Sun and Moon era, I envy you because Pidgeotto was really annoying to deal with. So yeah, that'd be quite scary if that's what comes out of this card. But it's still cool. It's still a nice engine to have, and it will provide some nice consistency to Dragapult EX, which is a Terra type, which is quite nice. Also doesn't have any weakness, which is cool. And it has 2 attacks. Phantom Dive is the attack we're most interested in, however, for a Fire Psychic does 200, and you get to put 6 damage counters on your opponent's benched in any way you like. Which is quite cool, because 200 isn't really carrying anything that's not like Luminion and Squawkabilly, so it's just quite nice to be able to soften up other Pokemon. Then you could like use Radiant Alakazam or something, I guess, to shift the damage around a bit more, so that's cool. I do quite like this card. I don't think you're ever getting like major KOs without Maximum Belt, but either way, still seems decent and playable. It doesn't seem terrible at all, really, so yeah, quite like it. Could also even use Neo Up Energy if you want to pay for that awkward attack cost, but yeah. Or actually just Xatu. Yeah, I think Xatu would probably be better, actually, but yeah. Dragapult seems decent. Then we get to the Festival Grounds Stadium. It's been mentioned quite a lot in this video already. Basically, if you have any energy attached to Pokemon, they can't be affected by special conditions, which is a bit sad for Poison decks because, Poison decks have always been like a bit rogue tier with, I guess, the exception of Roaring Moon, but it's not really a Poison deck, is it? But it feels a bit bad they printed this because special conditions have always been struggling a bit, especially in like recent years. So yeah, it feels kind of bad to hurt special conditions. I'd rather this was like not a Shrine of Punishment reprint or something. I mean, I wish it was, but I'd rather this was like a help single prize decks or help like the underdogs or something. I don't know. Festival Grounds. It doesn't really feel like it should be about preventing special conditions. It feels like it should be about healing or like attaching energy or something. I don't know. But yeah, I think it's a bit underwhelming, but the artwork is cool and it will make so many decks playable, like the Thwacky Diplin deck. So, excited to see what they do with that. And then we have Waking Whistle to awaken the Monkey Trio, I guess. Look at the top 5 cards of your opponent's deck. Put any number of basic Pokemon you find there onto your opponent's bench. Did Snorlax really need this? Did it really need this? Now, I know some players, especially Snorlax defenders, will say this card is bait because, you could end up running high counts of this and you'll still whiff Pokemon and the rest of it. But honestly, I don't think that's the case. I think this is a really, really good card, especially if you know your opponent already has like a lot of Pokemon that they're stashing in their hand. So then you could play like, well, I don't know if Snorlax ever wants to play Iono, but you could play some kind of Force Shuffle supporter or something, and then Walking Whistle, effectively, if you can then shuffle their deck afterwards, so it's not on the bottom. But yeah, I definitely think this has very scary potential, as well as potential in Great Tusk and Incineroar, which is very cool, of course. I'm always rooting for Incineroar. But, the fact that this is another buff to Snorlax just, yeah, feels kind of bad. Legacy Energy is a very cool energy. It's basically Rainbow Energy, which is a bit strange, I guess, because it kind of means that maybe we won't see a Rainbow Energy for a while now, which is, I guess, a bit sad because I quite like Rainbow Energy, but, provides any type of energy, but only one energy at a time, which is all right. But as long as this card is attached to a Pokemon when it's knocked out, your opponent takes one less prize, and you can only use this effect once per game. Honestly, I don't think we've ever really seen that on an energy card. At least not in my time playing the game, at least not in memory, but yeah. Oh, I guess like Prism Stars counted, but yeah. It's a very interesting effect, a very cool card. Could definitely give single prize decks, I guess, some HP boost. Well, not HP boost, but some more like prize survivability is the phrase I'm looking for here. You're just denying prizes. Now, you could make an argument this is like a bit scary in Lost Zone, but at the very least, they are reprinting Enhanced Hammer. Honestly, what I'm more like scared about is the fact that, Lugia, for example, someone recently commented, I think it was like Banana for Scale, recently commented that Lugia could use this with Radiant Charizard, which is quite scary because then Radiant Charizard is all of a sudden not even a single prize Pokemon, it's a zero prize Pokemon. So yeah. Or even Blood Moon Ursaluna in the late game for one prizer. So yeah, very scary card. We'll have to try out like Enhanced Hammer and lists and stuff, but this is of course still competing against Prime Catcher, Maximum Belt, Hero's Cape, all the other A-specs. So yeah, still a very cool and playable A-spec though. And there was a Palafin EX box, which I talked about in the canned video. So that's cool to see. So that'll hopefully make Palafin easier to get a hold of, question mark, if it's in the set as well as the box. But yeah, hopefully. So yeah, some set highlights are the Festival Grounds deck, which I think is really cool. Dragapult EX looks kind of playable, which is nice. The Palafin, I think, depending on how consistently players can find their switches, which, Arida can find you a Palafin and a switch, so that's more or less guaranteed Palafin EX turn 2, which is, yeah, that's yikes. That could be quite scary, actually. Palkia could definitely help you out. And is there anything else, really? Yeah, the Diplin deck. Diplin's also interesting because we're probably getting a Hydrapple EX at some point. Like, there was already a Dragon set confirmed for this coming year. So, if this ends up being, well, even if this doesn't end up being super playable and Hydrapple EX ends up being pretty decent, then this could be a phenomenal card in that deck. It's a nice single prize attacker, being able to attack twice. Just having that built into Hydrapple EX, yeah, that could be quite scary, actually. So Diplin seems worth trying out and picking up at the very least. But yeah, some lovely artwork, some lovely card design. Thwacky seems really fun. It reminds me a lot of actually the Lucario from Ultra Prism. That's cool. Rillaboom, yeah, could be quite nice to deal with Charizard. But yeah, let me know what you think about the reveals down below. Is there anything that stands out to you? Will you be trying out any of these decks? And of course, do you think Palafin is broken? But yeah, it's been our Power. Hope you enjoyed today's video. And yeah, thank you for watching.